Shalom, following the show, welcome to Getting the Rock. I have another question I was asked. I want to answer it real quick. Somebody had asked a question about food storage, and I wanted to answer it. They were asking, they had watched the live stream, and they asked the question before, why is storing food good? Let me answer the question first. Yes, storing food is good. But let me also answer with a caveat. Storing food is only a short-term solution. Right here, I have a 55-gallon barrel of corn. You can see it. It's all corn. And that white stuff you see on my hand, that is diatomaceous earth. I buy my diatomaceous earth by 50-pound bags. And whenever I put food away, I make sure I fill it up with some DE. Now, no, that is not the final state of the corn. I only bagged it in here in the 55-gallon bag in the 55-gallon barrel, and then I have the the lid with the rim on it to seal it. The only reason I did it that way is because I need to get it out of the elements. When I buy my corn by the tons in the winter time. And the reason I do that is because when it's below freezing, I can lay a tarp out, lay my bags of corn on the tarp, and when the temperatures stay below freezing for a week or two, the cold will kill the eggs and any critters that are in my corn. That freeze will. So that's how I do that. That's when I buy my corn and when I store my corn. But anyways, food storage is a great idea, but it is not a long-term solution. And that's it, regardless if you have food storage for a year or two. I store ample amounts of food for the family, but my food storage is a stopgap. It's a stopgap if I have a bad crop, if I have a bad yield in a year. Also, you can use your food storage for, let's say you move to a different location and you don't have a job or whatever it may be. You can go in your food storage. I also did that when we first moved here. I went into my food storage and we ate about a month's worth of food storage. A month or two worth of food storage when we got here. Easily replaced. But a lot of people are talking about, well, what if I can't go to the store? What if this vaccination thing is bigger and I'm not able to go to the store? Some people say ever again. But some people, for 6 months, a year, 2 years, however long it is. Some people believe that this is just the end. That is the end, This is going to be the great changing event. Whatever you may believe. If you believe this is a long-term event, your food storage is not going to be enough. You have to learn how to produce. That's the one thing that we as a people hate doing. Producing. Producing our food. A lot of men today, one of the reasons why we have a hard time with our homes is because we don't know how to bring something up to bear fruit. We don't know how to be a husbandman. And the Bible says in the Sirach, hate not laborious work, despise not laborious work, and hate not husbandry, which the Most High hath ordained. So the Most High, Yah, ordained husbandry. Husbandry is the cultivation and the bringing up, the propagation and bringing up of something from seed to fruit. Children, from seed to fruit when they become adults. Your wives, as the Bible says, husbands cherish and nurture to bring up to maturity. Nurture your wives. That's to bring up to maturity. That's to raise from seed to fruit. It's your job, man, to bring them up to maturity. Nobody else's. Not the pastors, not the elders, yours. Can't say that enough. But anyways, when it comes to food storage, you have to know how to produce, brothers. And this is why we don't know how to cultivate something from a seed to a mature plant. Because some of these seeds take 120 days. Some of them take 100 days, 60 days, 30 days. I mean, you can get radishes down in the soil and have food in 20 days. But the point is you have to know how to produce. And that's why coming out of her is so important, because how do you grow enough potatoes? Jerusalem artichokes. Next year, that's what I'm growing for my starchy foods, for my carbo-dense foods. I grow a lot of potatoes, and a lot of Jerusalem artichokes. Next year, we're adding wheat, and we're adding, we already have amaranth, but I'm actually clearing an area off to grow more amaranth. Now, they have some like giant orange amaranth that has giant seed heads, and The Native Americans used to use amaranth to grind it down and make flour out of it, and then breads. So that's what I'm doing. And then you can also eat the leaves. They're high in iron, for instance. But we have the wild stuff growing here, and we use that. Some of you live in apartments. Some of you live in houses and housing tracts, you know, where it's like a UFO came down, boo, and put a house down, and then moved over, boo, and put a house down. What are you going to do once that food runs out in your storage room, or whatever it may be? Now, again, I might say don't store food. No, store ample amounts of food. But the question is how are you going to produce? Because you're not going to come out here into this soil. Into this soil. You see that? You're not going to come out here and just start throwing seeds in the soil and it's going to grow, because it won't. You'll be sadly mistaken to find out your seeds won't grow. And that's not the time to be experiencing mistakes. The time to experience mistakes is not in the midst of a bad situation. So let's just say you're in your housing tract. Is your backyard big enough? Let me see, this space right here that you're looking at, that wouldn't be enough for one person. That would not be enough for one person to eat from every single day. Because remember, your food storage is only going to last a certain amount of time. And if you think I'm going to get to my area and start planting, what if the crop goes bad? What if the Japanese beetles decimate it? A lot of things could happen, a lot of what ifs. That's what your food storage is there for. Also, your food storage can be there for short-term situations that may happen. You know, you move, you relocate, or something happens, you lose your job, you need, you know, you don't have income coming in for a couple months. Food storage is a perfect time for that. But if you don't have the ability to produce food, you'll just find yourself in the same situation a year from now, 6 months from now. Once that last bag of corn or rice is emptied, you're in trouble. And if you have a family, men, wives, children, do you know how much work it takes to produce enough food? I mean, we eat exclusively our vegetables from our gardens. Do you know how much work that takes? Everybody is in on it. Everybody. The children are learning how to plant seeds, how to cultivate. I have them start their own green beans and cultivate them all the way up. So they have an understanding. I'm teaching them skills. The rich man is known for his riches and the poor man for his skills. Well, I ain't rich, so I better learn some skills. It's also in the Apocrypha. Sirach. So if your idea is, I'm going to store and store and store and store, there's too many things that could happen to food storage. The eggs, especially if you don't store them properly. Yes, I have videos on food storage that I could do if you would like to see them. And I don't just buy Mylar bags. I don't even use oxygen absorbers in any of my food. And I have food that it's been there for 11, 12 years now without an oxygen absorber. I use a vacuum cleaner, DE, and bay leaves. I can show you the process. I've used storage bags, just regular Ziploc storage bags. And I tape the seal, put the food in the bag, put the bag in the bucket with some DE, and I just put it away. And it's lasted 5, 6, 7 years. And the only reason it's lasted that long is because that's when I did it. And it's still good. I did it 5 years ago, and it's still good. Do you know how to store the food that you even grow? Do you know how to blanch, can, pressure can, steam, smoke, like your meats? You know, I'm building a smokehouse in the next 2 months. Do you know how to blanch and freeze? Do you know how to dehydrate? Do you have the things that are going to be needed to take your crop and store it? Do you have a root cellar or something that you could use as a root cellar in case you grow things that need to be in cool, dark, dry places like squashes, maybe even potatoes? These are the things that we have to be thinking of. You can store a lot of food. And I'm not speaking against food storage, but everything has its place. That's why in the Bible it says, when you buy a piece of property, prepare it without first. Make it fit for yourself in the field first, then build your house. It's in Proverbs. Go read it. Get your food up and coming first before you worry and spend all your money on trying to get your house together, trying to build the biggest mansion, trying to impress somebody else. If you ain't got food, it doesn't matter how nice your house is. You're going to die. You're going to starve to death. And that food, that means water also. Do you have access to good, clean water, and do you have food? This is one of the reasons why even though I was looking for land in Arizona, I didn't buy, because what about water? I have friends out there that are digging wells, dropping $20,000 and $30,000 on a well for it to go dry in 2 years. And the last thing you need is for your well to go dry in the middle of a bad situation where you can't call the well driller out to your property and your well goes dry. And you can't rely on rain catch it, because Arizona is known for having monsoons. It'll come and pour for a short amount of time, and then the rain's gone for the rest of the year, or gone for the next 3 to 4 or 5 months. I lived in Tucson. I know. When it rained heavy for a short period of time, and then bam, it was gone. And that soil did not retain water really well at all. That's why the land's so cheap in Arizona. Storage is good, brothers and sisters. Production is the best option. That is how you're going to survive. That is how our ancient people survived. If you look at the story of Joseph and Joshua, I believe it says that when they were storing food for the 7 years of plenty, I believe they stored, I may be wrong on this one, they stored, I believe, 1/7 of everything that they grew. Everything that they grew. And it says in Joshua that some of the men's food storage had mice in it. They got mice and they got rodents in it. So think about that. What if you opened up one of your bags and you had the bugs? You didn't do a good job of eliminating the seed, the eggs, and the bugs hatched. Most people wouldn't think to rinse off the food and eat it. They toss the whole thing out. You've got to think about what it means to produce food, not just store food. Storage is great. Production is what is life. That is what will sustain you for 5, 10, 15, 20 generations. Forget 20 years. Generations will be sustained if you can produce. And it's going to be hard to do that if you have not come out of her. If you have not started cultivating and working your land. It'll take you a couple years to get your land to a point where it's going to produce consistently. Unless you go out and which some may have to do, contact the company that's going to bring out soil to your property. But that's very expensive. These are some things for you to think about. Consider production and not just storage. It may just be the thing that saves you and your houseman. Bless y'all. I'm going to get back to producing. Have a blessed first day. Shalom.